What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a test hand combo tutorial for Raidraptors. So a lot of you have started to put this deck together. It is incredibly fun, really powerful. There are plenty of combo videos out there, but what there isn't is a test hand demo to show you exactly what the deck can do on a randomized basis, and then talk you through in as much depth and detail as possible what you might be expecting to be interacting with and how you can build your board around it. So with all of that out of the way, after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, what we're going to do is we're going to do a test hand go first and a test hand go second, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we have the main one card combo in the form of Tribute Lanius. Now, if you go down the one card route of your Tribute Lanius, you will run into Imperms, Veilers, Ashes, possibly play around a Nibiru, but that's about it, and you've used your normal summon. As an alternative option, you can also utilize Bloom Vulture here to maintain your normal summon. And the reason that I quite like to tend to do that is when you do it, your opponent then still needs to worry about another mechanic that you haven't even conducted. So if you haven't even conducted your normal summon, they're like, what's going on? And I'm going to show you how that can really help you now. So we'll start off with the Bloom Vulture. We'll reveal Bloom Vulture, summon itself down, and the Tribute Lanius. You'll then be able to use Tribute Lanius' effect to send a Raidraptor from the deck to the graveyard. However, you are locked into special summoning monsters of turn except Darks, but you know, that's exactly what you're going to be doing anyway. So Tribute Lanius' effect will then send one from the deck to the graveyard, and the one you're going to want to send, technically you can do two different options. You can go Mimicry, but this can then get hit with stuff like DD Crows, Bestials, and of course Ashes as well. Technically that would be hit by an Ash beforehand. Another option that you can send from the deck instead is you can go directly into what I'm trying to get into, which is Raider's Wing. Now the reason you would do this is this will allow you to make an XYZ, and then you can detach material from it to bring back the Raider's Wing. The only issue is you need another extender in order to get the Raider's Wing to go into the Raider's Knight for protection. But because we haven't used our normal summon, you can very easily send the Mimicry, banish the Mimicry, add the Raider's Wing, as it is always treated as a Phantom Knight and a Raidraptor card. Now, of course, you can still maintain your normal summon if you do make the XYZ, but because we want to be trying to make a monster with the targeted protection, you're just going to normal summon down the Raider's Wing. Then what you do here is you overlay two, which is going to go Raider's Wing and, of course, the Lanius, and this is going to go directly into our Raider's Knight. You can use this effect to detach, making sure you detach the Tribute Lanius, and this now cannot be targeted because it has Raider's Wing as a material. This will then allow you to rank up into a, not a Force Strix, where are you? Into a Brave Strix. Now at any point you can activate Roost, because as soon as you make Raider's Knight or Brave Strix, you would then get the effect of this in allowing you to add a Raidraptor spell or trap from the deck to the hand, so more advantage. Ultimately, it doesn't make much of a difference because at this exact moment in time, until you get to Arsenal Falcon, which is the next one, that's when they can interact with you and in more of an unprotected state, and they can Ash Blossom you. But that's the benefit of having a card like Bloom Vulture, because even if they do Ash Blossom you, you're still in a good position. Now, the only downside of going down the Bloom Vulture route is you have done additional summons, so if they do want to Nibiru you, they can, and that's before you get to the Arsenal Falcon, or even when you activate rank up to target this, and then they go into a Nibiru, it can be quite damaging. So there's always risk and reward with everything you're doing. So we'll rank up and go into our Arsenal Falcon, triggering off the effect of Roost, and this will then allow us to set or add us a Glorious Bright. So we've got the ability of a negate for the next turn as well, and the only reason you'll be doing something like that is because you've already annoyingly hard opened up the Rise rank up magic. Now what you're going to do is, again, you're going to use Arsenal Falcon, maintaining the Raider's Wing so it can't be targeted. It's a special one from the deck. Now the only reason that you would detach the Raider's Wing instead is because you would leave Brave Strix on here, meaning that the Strangle Lanius can revive another one from the graveyard. But ultimately, it's just not worth that risk. Like, always maintain that targeted protection, because there's a lot of cards, trust me right now, that people go, and if they know what this does, they don't even use them, and if they don't know what it does, they just try and save them for other cards. And it's like, okay, well, at least I got my Ultimate Falcon, what does it really matter? So on this one, it's entirely up to you what you want to summon out. You've already used Tribute Lanius. Remember, whatever one you summon out from this does not have its effects negated, so you can go that little bit further should you want to. So I'm going to go directly for a Noir Lanius, just because it gives me that graveyard ability to go into a second Brave Strix should I need to, and my opponent try and break this board. You can activate Noir Lanius' effect, target the Bloom Vulture. Now, normally you could search out a Heal Eagle because that will allow you to recycle either your Rise rank up or your Glorious Bright, or of course the other rank up in the grave as well. But unfortunately, sorry, not the Rise rank up in the graveyard, because annoyingly it's not a Raidraptor, it's just a Skip Force. So we'll let you recycle either of these. Then what this is going to allow you to do is we're going to search out our Pain Lanius, because it is not a level 4, which is really important, but we can make it a level 4 very easily. So it's up to you if you want to summon down the Pain Lanius now, just to guarantee that it's a level 4, because the next play we're going to make is either going to be a rank 4, or we're going to be leading into a Link 2. So now if you overlay both of these and go into a 4-Strix, don't use this effect just yet. Special summon down the Heal Eagle, link your Arsenal Falcon and your Heal Eagle together. This will then get you into your Y-Strix. Chain link 1 Y-Strix, chain link 2 Arsenal Falcon. If you're worried about Bell, make sure you do this as chain link 2. Arsenal Falcon comes back, gives you Ultimate Falcon. Purely what I like to go for. A lot of people just don't mind going into a second Rise and Rebellion for stronger towers. But sometimes a lot of people also remember or try to use the material on the back of the Ultimate Falcon so that you then your opponent cannot activate any more card effects from that point on. Only, I don't think there's anything I'm fearful of at this particular point from that point on, so I like to keep this material attached to it so my opponent takes 1,000 damage during the end phase. We're going to resolve the Y-Strix. Now again, you want to go for a card that is going to have a graveyard effect because obviously its effects are negated on the field. So I tend to go for Funny Lasius. If you want to, of course, you can make sure you don't get rid of Fuzzy Lanius, and then that means you're not locked into Raidraptors for the entire turn, which allows you to add a little bit more to your end board as well. We're then going to use the effect of the 4-Strix. Now, keeping in mind with this, you're not going to be able to trigger the Y-Strix effect because you haven't got any more rank ups to set. Really annoying, but just part and part of it. And then what I tend to like to do is if I've already got everything I need to, like if I want to extend and get a bit greedy, I can go for a Strangle Lanius. Honestly, I don't think I need to. I don't think there's anything more that I can really add to this end board that is going to be of mass effect to me. When you look at the extra deck, like there's not really any more rank 4s I want to add. So you'd only be using this as a recurrer for the next turn. So honestly, I'm going to go directly for the 1-card combo in the form of Tribute Lanius. So then what you can do here is because your Pain Lanius and your Fuzzy, you can overlay both of those and go into an Evil Swarm Nightmare. Now, keeping in mind, you would be locked into playing only Raidraptors for the entire turn if you specialed this from hand or if you searched out a second copy of itself from the graveyard when it was sent there. We haven't done any of that. We summoned it off of the back of the Y-Strix, so that what you can do later on during your opponent's turn is when you detach, you search out a Fuzzy, so you've got a guaranteed extender for the next turn. You still have the ability now to activate your Rise rank up. This will then be able to target your 4-Strix here, and then it can target your Brave Strix and your Raiders Knight, making a total of 13 to be able to overlay all of those and go into a Rise and Rebellion. Now, sometimes I quite like to keep this back for during my opponent's turn. It can get a little bit risky because if they do break the board, considering this is only during the main phase, like if they get rid of this before the main phase, then you can't do this. But when you do it during your opponent's turn, you get to destroy all monsters, all cards your opponent controls. So you have a bit more advantage by holding on to this. It really is give or take. I'm just going to show you how strong your end board can end. We'll set the one Glorious Bright, and then we're going to use Roost Effect to put 3 back, Mimicry being one of them. We'll keep Raider's Wing in the graveyard. We'll put Tribute Lanius there, and then we'll also put... I'll tell you what we should have done as well, is we'll banish the Heal Eagle. The Heal Eagle will let us add this back, and we'll set this, and then you can put all 3 of those back to the bottom of the deck and draw 1 card. Boom, boom. Hey, that's pretty good. So as this currently stands, what you've got is during the end phase, because this still has a material, your opponent's going to take 1,000 damage. When your opponent special summons a monster, you get to Book a Moon it twice. This one is obviously just a Fat Towers. It can manipulate or copy a effect of a Raidraptor XYZ in the graveyard, but we haven't got any in there at the moment. What you do also have, you've got the ability of activating Bright. Because you control a Raidraptor XYZ, you can target a face-up card your opponent controls and negate it. They've got to try and play through Draw and Lockbird as well. And then if all of this does go haywire, you still have your normal summon of Tribute Lanius to start your combo off again, because you can send the Mimicry you've just recycled from the deck back to the graveyard, and then you're good to kind of push further through it. Which all of these cards you can see here, we played 2 of, apart from the Arsenal, so you're still in a kind of good position as well. Like I said, there's different ways of doing it. Me personally, if I'm not too fearful of what my opponent might have, I'm quite happy to leave my end board looking like this, so that during my opponent's turn, if they get into a position where I feel my board could be threatened, I can activate the Rise Rebellion, bring back Brave, and Night, and then overlay all of those into a Rising Rebellion. And because this will have 3 monsters with different names, it will also be able to burn my opponent for all of the monsters that I destroy as original attack. And then on top of that as well, it will also destroy their entire board. So very nice kind of, not to mention it's unaffected by all card effects as well. Broken. So that's how, like, this exact same play is pretty much how you would be able to OTK as well. The only thing you've got to be considering when you're going for an OTK level is you probably need to play through more guaranteed Omni Negates. So the way that I showed you the combo at the start of the video was not playing through Nibiru, but it was playing through Imperm and Veilers, like targeted effects to get where you need to go. Because we already had the 1-card combo anyway, that's the combo of how you play around Nib, because you'd get by your 5th summon into Arsenal Falcon, and if they nib you, you still get an Ultimate Falcon. So it really is up to you on which way you'd want to take it, but you can't play through, I would say you couldn't play through every single hand trap in the game. If your opponent opened up all 5 hand traps of the format, which is like Imperm, Veiler, Ash, Droll, Nib, I'd be very impressed if you could play through all 5 of those, unless you were playing stuff like Crossouts or Shifters. Even playing through Shifters okay with this deck. It's very grindy, but like you can do a little bit more than just T-set pass kind of thing. Okay, so now we're going to go second. So we're going to shuffle up, we're going to cut up. And the way this is going to work is if we've had hand traps, we're just going to weaken our opponent's board. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Saviour. 6 is a Saviour. Otherwise, if this was our 5 hands, yikes. Bloom Vulture's not doing anything on his own. This is not something you want to be hard opening. Either way, so we would have Impermed and we'll Veiler our opponent, unless we feel that holding the Imperm back so we activate it during our draw phase can be quite effective as well, because then that will stop one of your opponent's effects if you do a trade 1-for-1. So basically both of those have been used. You've got your 1-card star in the form of Tribulanius, you've got Recycling Roost, and if your opponent activates anything, you've got to draw, a steal, or a look at their hand. So let's go with Bloom Vulture just to maintain our normal summon, give us our Tribulanius. Tribulanius effect, send Mimicry, wherever it may be. So Mimicry, banish the Mimicry. Again, it really is entirely up to you. I personally quite like going into Raider's Wing, and through experience, a lot of people hold back effects like Fenrir to kind of deal with this. And it's like, okay, well, I can now go Raider's Wing, and at this point, they now need to go, on resolution, effect, banish either of these. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever. Normal summon down Raider's Wing, overlay, and then from that point on, they're not going to be targeted anyway. So you're in a very good position. Not to mention you can talents and steal one of their cards. So normal summon down the Raider's Wing, overlay. Of course, if you did make the XYZ, again, like I said, you can special summon down the Raider's Wing, but I feel that this just gives you a little bit more security. So detach, rank up. Again, I never want to see this card in my hand, but so I always forget to play it. Like play it when I see it, but you never know. Detach, search out, rank up. Boom. Activate rank up on Brave, turn Brave into Arsenal. Effect of Roost. Another good thing as well is when you hold back Roost is sometimes if you need to chain block anything, Roost can be quite important for you. Because when you make your Link monster, you can chain block your Link monster. So for example, if I didn't use Roost now, and I kept it as it is, and I used the effect of the Arsenal Falcon to summon from the deck, let's go for... trying to think where we want to go on this one. I've already used Tribute. Let's go with Noir, just because I can get that extender again. Noir's effect, search us out. For this time, let's go for Heal Eagle. I can leave a 4 on the board that way. Where are you, Heal Eagle? Right at the top. Heal Eagle. Special downset, Heal Eagle. And then you can link these two together. Go into Y-Strix. And now you can do Chaining 1 Y-Strix. Chaining 2 Arsenal, Chaining 3 Roost. So then Roost will then allow you to grab one, and the one you're going to want to go for will be the Bright, because you've pretty much gone through everything else you need. Arsenal will then summon itself back and go into... I still personally quite like Ultimate Falcon, just think it's the most effective. And then Y-Strix will summon from the deck, so we'll summon a Fuzzy. So what you can do here is you can overlay both of these. There is method in the madness, don't worry. Go into a Force-Trix, detach Noir, search out Strangulanius. Strangulanius can summon itself down because you control Dark, and you also control a Dark with an XYZ, Dark XYZ as material. So you get to use its effect again. And this can then bring you one back from the graveyard. So we'll go for, I mean, we haven't even used Raider's Wings graveyard effect either, which is crazy. So bring back Tribute Lanius. You can then overlay, yeah, let's overlay these two. Nightmare. You can use the effect of Raider's Wing in graveyard, detach material off of your 4-Strix to summon itself back. Keep in mind that, again, I should have activated the effect of Y-Strix to set my quick play, but I can do that off the back of Ultimate Falcon if I want to as well. It's not really the end of the world, because I can use the effect of this. This means, you can probably do that a lot earlier as well, by the way. But unaffected by avocado, it's detach material from this card for the rest of the turn. All monsters your opponent controls will lose 1,000 attack, and your opponent cannot activate cards or effect. So, really nice. So you do that a long time ago. Y-Strix effect sets you the Rise rank up. Not that you really need it, like this is just all overkill for no reason whatsoever. I'm not even Raidraptor locked, which is quite important. Just for attack on the board, Raider's Knight, second Raider's Knight by the way. Activate Rise rank up, choose Brave Strix and Raider's Knight. Put the 3 of those together, all different names. Go into Rise and Rebellion. Rise and Rebellion's effect. Destroy your opponent's monsters, burn them for the attack of the combined attack of all they got. Just in case your opponent has like a battle fader. Eek. Detach a Heal Eagle. Reset the Rise. Go battle phase. 4K. 35. Not 950? I thought it was 1950. It's 1950 defense. 14 2K. Ultimately game. Still haven't used talents yet. You've got Bright for a follow-up. And then doesn't even count the burn damage they've taken off of this, which is mental. So it's one of them decks that unless your opponent is playing Kaijus to specifically out the towers this deck can produce, once you get there, it's a 99% success rate. Like, you should be winning from that point on. However, the issue is getting there. The best thing about this deck is it's very resilient. It can play through a lot of forms of interruption, a lot of hand traps. It's just making sure that you make the right routes of play at the right times. Like, I did a couple of duels with this at locals and I took a risk. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go straight for Raider's Knight. If that set card is an imperm after I've done everything, then that's going to suck. But if it's not, I go full combo and my opponent doesn't stop it. So, risk and reward, really fun deck. Relatively cheap deck. It's literally just this card here that's really annoying. That it's as expensive as it is. If this was the same as all the others, like no more than £3 a copy, happy days. Happy days straight in. The whole entire deck, like you can even get your talents in there, your ashes, your imperms, everything like that. Everything else is pure budget. It's literally just this annoying card here. Arguably, you could play it at less if you wanted to, but it's just such a nice extender that as long as you control a dark. So that's the difference when you look at the extenders of this one, is you've got ones if you control as a dark, nice and generic and easier to pull off. If you control specifically a Raidraptor, and then you've got cards that are like if you control an XYZ. And it's like, control an XYZ is a little bit difficult because you've got to present that board already. Controlling a dark, incredibly easy. Like, majority of your deck's dark, and if you really needed to and you were playing DD Crow, you could normal summon DD Crow, and then go off from there, which is pretty funny because if you do normal summon DD Crow and special it down, it is a Dark Wind Beast, so you can get into your Y-Strix quite easily. Anyway, I hope this has been informative. I hope it's given you a couple of different play styles of the route of the deck that can go and how you can see it on a randomised basis with good opening hands, okay opening hands, and then what you technically be looking for when you're putting it together. Any questions at all, by all means, as always, put them in the comments down below and I'll be more than happy to answer them. But for now, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.